3, 2, 1. Okay, that should help. Hopefully. At first.
For a bit.
For a bit. Fuck.
Alright, you ready?
Yeah?
Introducing Metamodern Sounds of Podcasting. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Earbuds Podcast. This is a podcast where two buds talk about one album for a nice chunk of time. I, as always, am your co-host, Brett Butt Hanrahan. Brett the Butt Hanrahan. Joined with me, as always, is Lucas, the Cheeks, Indra Cobbs.
The Cheeks. You're the butt, I'm the cheeks?
Yeah.
All right.
You're the left one, I'm the right one.
Okay.
And together,
I don't think that's what you meant.
we make something greater than the whole of its parts. And today, we're going over a nice new country album.
Yeah, fresh.
It's
Super
fresh off the presses.
Yeah.
8 years old now? Is that right?
Yeah, it's a bubbling baby or whatever they call it.
And it is Sturgill Simpson's
Bubbling baby.
Metamodern Sounds of Country
Music. I've seen Jesus play with flames in a lake of fire.
Tell me, Lucas, you are the one that brought this to the podcast.
Yeah.
Why? I feel like I know why Sturgill, but why this album?
This is, I mean, obviously, it's the album that got me into Sturgill. It's just like, so even if it's not his best, on paper or whatever, like, it's still gonna be my favorite of his. But this, to be honest, not to get too heavy right away with this record, but this album's so slightly changed my life.
Really?
Slightly. As a music fan, and honestly as like a southerner in a weird way, as someone living in the South.
Yeah, you and me, we grew up in Texas, in the heart of it, really.
In the heart of it, deep Texas, like not in little town Texas, but
No, far from it. I mean,
thank fucking Christ, to be honest.
I was raised in Austin, which is like the most anti-Texas, relatively speaking, city in Texas.
Yeah.
And Houston, which has gotten some attention recently. I don't know if you've seen this, but everyone's talking about the horrible walking situation in Houston. How it's literally impossible to walk anywhere just because the city is so poorly constructed.
Yes, yeah, it's so spread out. It's huge. I grew up in a little town outside of Houston, like in between Houston and Galveston. This little kind of coastal town, but still, that was small town Texas for sure. But yeah, we had Houston there. You were in Austin, but yeah, Houston's like, I don't know, man. Houston has so much going for it, but it's just it has those issues where, we were talking to people here in Southern California that they're so spoiled because if anything takes longer than 15 minutes to get to, they don't want to go. Because it really is like, it's so easy to get around.
So ridiculous.
This city, it's nuts, man. And then, in Austin, but even more so in Houston, if you're like, oh, it's 45 minutes away. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah, you're just like, hey, we're going to head downtown. It's going to take about 45 minutes to get there, and we'll find a parking spot, take about 15 minutes, pay $30.
Yeah. I mean, Houston, I don't know, man. But yeah, it's funny, like, as a southerner, someone who grew up in the South, I was never into country music. Were you?
No.
Like, at all, ever?
I'd never really even touched it. The closest I got to it was when I lived in Lubbock, Texas for 2 years. I was technically in Levelland, which was...
Yeah, Levelland, Texas. We've talked about that before,
Levelland,
dude.
Texas.
Yeah.
And that's when I was exposed to...
The flattest part of Texas.
Oh, my God. You couldn't imagine.
Yeah, I can't.
And I went to... My sister took me to a country show, and I thought, wow, this is the worst show I've ever been to in my entire life.
Yeah, dude.
And it wasn't just because I hated the country music that we went to see, which was like the party Bud Light country music.
Yes. Yeah, that's kind of why growing up I really hated country, because it always just felt like such simple music, Right. I know there's like legends, like George Strait and Garth Brooks and stuff like that are just legendary. And actually, like, if you go back and listen to their 90s stuff, and, you know, like, some of it is actually pretty good. Now I can appreciate it because of what Sturgill did. Because literally my whole life, I thought country was just the dumbest genre of music.
Kind of this one note.
Really dumbed down. Like, just fucking dumb.
Yeah, right.
Like, the lowest common denominator of people it was trying to attract. And it just would always bum me out. But when I heard Turtles All the Way Down, the first track on Metamodern Sounds of Country Music, and then that song fucking changed my life in terms of a music fan, because I like the headiness of it, the self-awareness of it, the self-deprecation of it, and like the trippy lyrics that kind of like permeate, all of that permeates through this whole record, but especially Turtles All the Way Down. And just his heartfelt singing and the production, like all of it just like simply changed the way I felt about country music, like almost in an instant.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, I was interested going into this album because this guy's a pretty interesting dude, Sturgill Simpson.
Yeah, he's like punk rock. He's the most punk rock country artist right now.
And from the title, I honestly expected something even a little crazier, which he does do. He gets more and more experimental on like the next records he produces, but throughout this entire record, you can't deny it's country. It's country for sure.
It is country as fuck, and it's like specific country. It's outlaw country at times. It's that kind of like drunk whiskey, you know, like in the 70s country, and then it's like honky tonk the rest of the time.
At the same time, you can tell that this is the first step onto something new, and there are some sounds that aren't usually in country. I assume there's a lot of room, there's a lot of echo, especially on you know, the first and last song, depending on, you know, bonus tracks, Turtles and It Ain't All Flowers.
Yeah, that weird like Jimi Hendrix-y, Aerosmithy, bluesy intro to that, but so trippy and heady and psych.
Yeah, there are a bunch of backwards sections, and he's putting a lot of layers and effects everywhere.
Yeah, the random synth that he would use.
Yeah.
Throughout the record too, and sometimes, like on Just Let Go, and sometimes it's just textural synth. And you don't hear textural synthesizer in country music, you know? You don't hear a warbling synth just to have a warbling sound in a song. And I love the way that they have the distorted guitar and that deep guitar notes at the end of Just Let Go. It's like there's so many cool different choices that he made that I've never heard in a country music song ever.
Sure, but I feel like at the same time, as a person who's not into country, this is a great introduction into country because it kind of displays maybe the best parts of country, or at least the parts that I, you know, are definitely country and things I used to be, you know, like I used to not give a chance, but now in this new context, I was like, oh, you know, I might actually like this. I might kind of be into this vibe and these like mid-tempo songs with this. Yeah, he has a very country voice. I don't think that's up for debate.
I'm pretty sure he's from Kentucky. He gets compared to Waylon Jennings a lot.
We had the Waylon Jennings studio in Levelin, baby.
Oh shit, nice.
Oh yeah, I think that's where he's from.
Have you ever listened to any of his stuff?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I figured.
The most I've done is I've listened to Willie a couple times, but
so good, man. I guess Willie and the Highwaymen were the two country artists I listened to before Sturgill. But they didn't really change my opinion on country. They were like the best of that type of country that I'd heard my whole life, you know?
Right.
But the Highwaymen, I don't know if you've heard the Highwaymen, dude.
I've not.
John. I mean, this is just off of memory, and I've smoked a lot of weed since I started listening to them. But I'm pretty sure it's a super group. I think it's Chris Christopherson. I think it's Waylon Jennings. I want to say Merle Haggard.
Really?
I think, and Johnny fucking Cash. and I think they have 2 albums, maybe 3, and they are amazing. They're amazing.
Even I know all of those names.
Dude,
That's
I'm telling you,
insane.
4 legends in a band together.
How have I not heard about that?
I don't know. I don't know if if a lot of people know them. Now there's the High Women, or the Highway Women, or the High Women, or something like that, and they're like 4, I think, legendary female country artists, and they're all like stoners. So they make
See, if
weed
there wasn't
country
that
music.
aspect to it, I would have been a little disappointed.
Right? Yeah, they had to go for it there. But I've heard. I don't think I've heard anything by them. But yeah, man, Willie. I got into Willie with his reggae record that he put out.
Really?
Yeah, a full reggae album.
When did he
can't
do
remember the name.
that?
He did that when I was in high school, like 2004, 2005, sometime around
Jesus.
then. Just a big ass wheat leaf on the cover of it, and it's some of his songs, some of his classics, and he's covering like old country, like classic country songs too, in reggae form, and it's incredible. It's so good.
Willie's been around the block, so it's something I would expect from him, that he would try to do some, like, to stretch out to other stuff.
He's
cool.
like, fuck it, right? Yeah. I mean, I think he started out as a pop singer. I think he was doing more like kind of ballad pop music when he first started. And then I don't know if he started smoking weed or if he decided, I want to start writing country music. One chicken or the egg. I don't know which one. But something changed along the way, because he used to be super clean cut and wear suit and ties, and he had his hair like pomade to the side and everything. He looks like such a totally different person. But yeah, man, like, before I heard this record, I think this, like, it was so impactful on me, and it really did, like, this album and Sturgill in general, like, inspired an era of my life as a songwriter, and just gave me a whole new perspective on the genre, and, like I said, of the South in general, because he kind of like humanized country music with this record for me.
Well, let's get into it, man. Let's start talking about it.
Yeah, man, because, like, when we were talking about all the Red Solo Cup and all the bullshit pro-American, like, drivel that apparently every country artist was just willing to just shit out because they knew that's what their audience wanted to hear. It was just mindless music, in my opinion. So yeah, let's get into it, because I really feel like Sturgill added such a human element to country that I hadn't heard in so long, and he had a modern kind of twist on it, and I really like it.
A modern twist on it.
A meta-modern twist. It was meta as hell, maybe. Let's get into it.
Man. First off, after hearing you talk about all that stuff, Sturgill still goes to those themes, and those, like, he still talks about whiskey. He's talking about trucking.
The long white line. Yeah.
He's not denying that he's an old hillbilly, like he says in one of his songs, but he just has the motivation to go and try to expand on these classic themes. And most of the modern things on this album aren't really in the music. It's really kind of the first and the last song, but the lyrics are kind of where he changes it up on this one.
Yeah, I agree. I think he does enough really off the wall for country music choices in the music and in the production. But yeah, I think you're right. It's mostly in the lyrics and what he's talking about. Like how, like we were saying earlier, like how heady the lyrics can get and kind of trippy and out there. It really introspective, really personal, but like amazingly self-aware. Like you said, he calls himself a hillbilly.
Yeah.
And but also very self-deprecating too. And he obviously has a sense of humor, Right.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, man, I really, I mean, there's so many lines in this album that I love. Like, even silly ones, like in Living the Dream, when he goes, "Why make a big old pot of coffee when you ain't got no cream?" Just like, that's such a great Southern line. And then when he says, like, "I ain't got to do a goddamn thing, just sit around and wait to die."
Yeah.
You're like, God damn. Like, that's when he gets, like, all of a sudden he gets heavy, And yeah, there's a lot of appreciation for his lyrics on this album for me.
Yeah, I think I read on one of the Genius things for his song.
I didn't go through any of them, man. I bet there's some good stuff in there.
Well, there was a quote when he was talking about making this album. He said his wife told him, "You might drive yourself crazy thinking about all this stuff, but you're definitely driving me crazy.
Right.
So you got to write some songs about it or something."
Right. Yeah.
And
yeah, it's interesting, man. I mean, some of the themes that he writes about, like we mentioned the opening track, "Turtles All the Way Down." I mean, that is.
He just goes off and lists in
what is
this
happening?
first song like every
Yeah.
single drug you could think of.
Oh, I love it. Marijuana, LSD.
Like he knew what he was
so
doing
fun.
when
Yeah.
he knew what he was doing. Like country people are not, as far as I know, privy or keen to drugs in a general sense.
They're certainly just not open about it. It's almost like don't ask, don't tell type of thing, because I feel like that's what outlaw country was back in the 70s, was talking about getting drunk and smoking pot and doing doing hood rat things with your friends. And I think that has been lost because they were so worried about commercial success that it's just like, we can't offend the mom and the dad, but we also have to attract the teenager and the college kid and all. So it just became about drinking and family and having fun and partying.
A very heavy focus on religion, which is another interesting aspect of this album as a whole, and as Sturgill as a whole, because he he makes a lot of allusions to God and like Christianity, but he also kind of puts a little question mark on it.
I mean, him saying, talking about the Bible and saying that it's hard for him to love the Bible or want to have anything to do with it when it's caused so much pain. For like all this pain caused by some old man in the sky. Like he's definitely calling out the hypocrisy of it. And he's been, I think, weirdly either quoted or credited for being an atheist. And then he says like, "No, dude, I have like a Jesus tattoo." He's not atheist. I think he's willing to ask the questions, right? And he's willing to challenge things. And I think that's part of my appreciation for him. It's why he feels so punk rock to me. Because it really, it's like he seems ignored by Nashville. Like he seems to be the black sheep of country music.
Well, because they hold these values so dear, and it's become an ingrained part of the music, that doing anything opposed to that automatically just makes you a heathen and frowned upon, even though he's still a God-loving man, it seems. Maybe even if it isn't like the traditional Christian God, he probably holds Christianity dear, but might have like a hybrid of beliefs.
Yeah, I think it's just that he's progressive in every sense of the word, with his music, with his belief.
He has an open mind, and he's willing to let whatever comes in come in.
Like what it means to be a man too, a little bit, because he challenges that in country music a little bit, where he allows himself to be really, really vulnerable and sensitive and open, and like we were saying, even self-deprecating. You don't hear that a lot in country music, other than the ballad of just like, my woman left me and I'm such a fucking idiot. I didn't appreciate her when I had her or whatever. Like that's a form of self-deprecation. That's just like, that's what you normally will get from country music. But everything else is like ultra machismo, I feel like, with a lot of pop country.
Sure.
So I think Sturgill kind of challenges the status quo a little bit there too, with allowing himself to be sad and unsure of himself and insecure and everything in between. Like he lets that come through in the music, and I think it's such a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it's just nice to know that this guy is kind of questioning himself and life, what life is, what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like on that song, I think it was the "Living the Dream," where he's kind of talking about it being on the road and sex is cheap and.
Yeah, when talk is cheap and sex is overrated.
Yeah, that's it.
He has so many good lines like that, dude.
And his, band's trying to get the sound, and he knows he's willing enough to say that he's given into these things and that these things aren't great, but he's still willing to talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think it's cool to hear his like unique perspective on a lot of that stuff that he's going through too. Like we were saying, Long White Line, where on the surface it just kind of sounds like a trucker song. Getting in your 18-wheeler or getting in a car or something and just driving till the road ends. right? Like he wants to see the end of the long white line, but it's all because his woman left him. So then there's that classic country thing too, where he's just like, I woke up this morning and she was gone. So like, I'm just gonna keep driving. I'm just gonna like go to the end of the line.
The first time I heard this song, I assumed it was about drugs.
So did I. I thought it was about cocaine.
I thought it was just about cocaine or like some other white powder drug you sniff, and maybe that's
so, like,
an
get to the end of the long white
it.
line. Yeah, for sure. But it's kind of, it wouldn't surprise you, right? Because then you on Turtles All the Way Down, he literally like names brand name drugs, like 12 of them.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise you. But I love his punk rock sensibility as an artist, because he seems kind of blacklisted from the CMAs and shit. I think there was one year where the CMAs didn't invite him, so he buskered outside of the event and was just playing his music outside of the event and like talking shit about Nashville and you know the system or whatever, the entity that is country music in Nashville. And a lot of people didn't know who he was. And at this point he had already released like a Sailor's Guide to the Earth or whatever, like the album that came out after this one. Yeah. So at that point, to me, he was a fucking rock star. And there was people that didn't know him, because if you think about the CMAs, you're thinking about very specific artists that don't really, people like him don't show up there. And this is totally like an outsider's perspective from like, I'm not in this scene. I'm not heavily involved in it. I don't really give a shit about it. So this is just, from what I've seen and read about him, it makes me appreciate him so much more, because you can easily give in to the pressure of, God, I just got to give people what they want, or I'm not going to make this money, or I'm never going to be accepted into this circle or whatever. And with every album that he's come out after this, he's just continued evolving and changing his sound. And he said with this album that he wanted this to be his last country record. And it scared me when I heard that. Because I love this so much. It really is like, this is perfect country music to me. And when I heard that he didn't want to continue doing country music, he was kind of over it. Like, fuck, man, like, what is he gonna do? Like, it's gonna be so different, it's gonna suck. And then he comes out with A Sailor's Guide to the Earth, I think is what it's called. Yeah. And it was incredible.
Yeah, and then
it's a soul record. He made a soul record. Yeah.
I didn't listen to Juanita and Dude and Juanita.
The Dude and Juanita, yeah, Juanita and the Dude. He kind of is going back to this sound a little bit on that record, because he did Sailor's Guide to the Earth, and it's kind of this soul album, fucking incredible. Yeah. And then he, or kind of like old school rock and roll, like 50s rock and roll. And then he does, oh man, what's the one that came out after that? I forget the name, but it's like a rock record.
The one that came out after Sailor's Guide was Sound and Fury.
Sound and Fury. That is like almost a straight up rock album from what I remember. So and then he did like an anime, I told you, to go along with that record.
I still haven't, is that on YouTube? Where do you find that?
I think it's on Netflix. It's still on Netflix. He made it for Netflix, I think, or in collaboration with them or whatever. But yeah, it's like he did a soul record, then he did a rock album, and then he's coming back to his country roots a little bit. I love the versatility that he has, and how his voice, which couldn't be more fucking country music and couldn't be more southern, somehow works on all those other settings. It's so fucking impressive, man.
Yeah, it kind of, just the voice alone gives a cool twist to all these genres that he's kind of trying out and experimenting with. And
I love his usual kind of mellow singing voice. But God, I love it when he gets loud and almost screams.
Oh, those are my favorite parts on this album. Is when
by far
you can tell he's kind of like clipping the mic a bit.
Yes, and they let it happen. It has that rawness to it.
Yeah, I think it's like a great choice that they just kind of let it happen these once in a while, Turtles all the way down.
Yeah, dude, and then in Living the Dream, like, I got to do a goddamn thing. Yeah, see right away to die. And then on The Promise, in the last chorus of The Promise, which is such an awesome random cover for them to do.
Yeah, like a cover from this random stereotypical 80s band.
Yeah, and it's a one-hit wonder as far as I know.
When in Rome, I think is what they're called.
When in Rome, yes, When in Rome. And I love that he does that last chorus. I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking about the ride. Yeah. Dude, it's how... There's so much emotion to that, right? Like when he gets loud, like that, it sounds so honest.
Yeah,
And
well,
I
because
love those parts.
it's not something you usually hear, and it happens few times on the album as well. You know?
Yeah.
So it's
Just
like kind
peppered.
of a startling moment a little bit.
Yeah. But works every time. It does, like you said, it's almost he's clipping the microphone, but honestly sometimes it sounds distorted. Like they're trying to get a little more rawness out of it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Really, really fun, man. And the musicianship, I'm pretty sure these are mostly like studio musicians on this album with him. And they're incredible.
I mean, yeah, it sounds great. I think there's a steel guitar
Yeah.
on some of the songs, and just this classic. I don't know. I've always loved the fucking like lowest string guitar stuff. I've always liked
the like kind of goofy sounding, like very plucky.
Yeah, a little cheesy, a little goofy,
little cheese, like a little manchego there, but it's so fucking fun. It makes it fun, right? Because I think the album to me, I think is 50-50, really mid tempo slow songs, kind of quieter songs, and then the other half are like like, I mean, you straight up have very danceable, yeah, like honky tonk bar stuff, like two step and stuff, and then you have A Little Light, which is straight up like almost like a gospel song.
Yeah.
Love that song.
I do love that song for how short it is. But
yeah, less than 2 minutes.
It's just a nice kind of romp, and I like the lyrics on it. You kind of find that light in yourself.
Yeah, all you need is a little light, and it's like it makes me want to, like, it's perfect for hitting your knee, on every downbeat while you're chewing on a fucking wheat stalk, You're
kind of rocking back and forth in your chair, looking over the fields.
Yeah, everyone's stomping at the same time on like shit kicking.
Right.
On stage. Yeah, it's perfect for that. And it feels like a gospel, like a Southern Baptist gospel song. And it's so fun. And yeah, I think a lot of the, like you said, the steel guitar, the slide guitar stuff, the bass is very prominent, and I love that on this record.
I do love the stand-up bass moments.
Yeah.
Big old fan of that.
Great drums, right? Like, not doing anything he needs to do, but they sound good. Like, the production is just so good.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and then the little bit of organ that they'll mix in, like "Living the Dream" at the end when the guitar solo with the organ and stuff. It's yeah, I thought you would really like that organ.
Oh
parts.
yeah, like you know how to get me.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, dude, I mean, what would be? I've been trying to get you to listen to this guy for 5 years now, probably at this point.
I thought it was like a couple weeks.
Yeah, it might have felt like a couple weeks to you, but I made you a playlist years ago.
I've had other things to do, mainly.
Yeah, okay.
I've been busy.
Okay, I understand. But this was on the list of, like, before we even started this podcast, almost 2 years ago at this point. Like, this was on my original list of albums that I wanted to talk about, and I'm like so excited that we're getting into it, and I'm so curious what your favorite songs are on this.
Well, I knew what to expect going into this album for the most part.
You've heard a few of them. Album. Yeah, and you've heard a few of these songs, right? Like before, like, because I put some on the playlist for sure.
Yeah, I definitely heard a couple of the songs. I think Turtles was on there, and maybe Long White Line.
Maybe so.
And so it's country music. Some of the songs definitely got into the cheese hillbilly section of country music for sure. But
for sure.
I knew to expect that going in, so I was like, fuck it, man, whatever. It's like, I'm
Did
just
you enjoy them, or were they just more palatable?
No, I was into it. Like, I was just kind of like grooving along.
Yeah, it's goofy, man. And I almost feel like, having left Texas, it makes me want to listen to country music more.
Yeah, I mean, God, there is I don't know. There wasn't a lot of country music in Austin, really, but we would go to, you go to a barbecue place, and they're like, all right, well, we have to.
Right.
And so it's like all that stuff was like kind of trash, but
Yeah.
this Sturgill's a great start. Great place to go from. Might find some other people through it.
Goes down smooth.
My first nug. Well, I got some honorable mentions, obviously. Long White Line is super catchy. It comes on at work sometimes. So I assume it must be one of his more popular songs.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay, interesting.
Just Let Go. You sent me the Cut and Grass version, which is faster.
Yes.
And a little more upbeat. And if it was that version, it would have been one of my choice nugs.
Oh, damn. I love how that song opens, though.
But
woke up today and decided to kill my ego.
Never done much for me, no how.
Yeah, oh, so good.
Yeah, and so it's still an honorable mention.
Yeah, it's a great example of how personal Sturgill can get with his songwriting. It's like, it feels like you're alone in a room with him and he's just playing you this song. It's so emotional and so heavy.
And A Little Light, where my honorable mentions, my first choicey, my first nugget. I think we're gonna share it. It's gonna be
Nug Out.
Turtles all the way down.
Yeah, I've seen Jesus play with flames in a lake of fire, and I was standing there. Dude, that's the song. This is the song that only slightly changed my life.
It's just the perfect. It's the perfect intro. It's like he wrote this album and wrote. Like, I don't know if he wrote this song first or the album first, but they both had each other in mind, because he starts off with his voice alone. I've seen Jesus Christ. His first line is questioning Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy. A whole list of drugs.
He name drops Seattle. I wonder if you like that.
Yeah, I found the devil in Seattle. Thank you very much. Hope to see him soon.
Yeah.
And like, just the production on this is so nice. The mid-tempo is not. I'm not usually into the slow or mid-tempo songs, but this one, like, I'm really into. It's got enough of a groove that you can groove along to it, but it's chill enough that you can kind of lay back and enjoy it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't know, when he almost kind of yells, "His turtles all the way down the line." That's like my favorite part of the entire album.
I know, man. It's like he's being so poetic on this song. Like, the things that he's talking about are really out there and very heady. And if you look into it at all, it gets even more heady and confusing and psychedelic, because Turtles All the Way Down is an expression that I'd never heard of until I heard this album.
It's like the earth is held on the back of a turtle shell, and then that turtle's on a different turtle shell.
Exactly. And it's underneath that one another turtle, underneath that one another turtle. It's like the problem of infinite regress is what the phrase is talking about. It's like, it's the mythological idea of a world turtle that supports a flat earth on its back. It suggests that the turtle rests on the back of an even larger turtle, which is itself part of a column of increasingly larger turtles that continues infinitely. It's like, who the fuck thought... Like, this is what I mean, where we don't have philosophers anymore, really. Like, the closest thing we have to philosophers now are people on Instagram that think that they are self-help gurus, and they tell you these life-affirming facts that are just the most basic-ass bitch, ways to think about life, and they're not doing anything new or thinking of anything new. But then you look at something like Turtles All the Way Down, and this is just something that showed up in the 1800s. Someone thought of this as the concept of infinite regress, and it's like, dude, we don't have enough time to think anymore. Like, no one's thinking of shit like this anymore.
Man, I mean, it must just be your friend group, because
what, are y'all like super fucking heady and constantly... I mean, me and Christina, definitely, and some of our friends, we question things a lot, right? Like, we challenge things a lot in society and in culture and stuff like that. But I mean, I haven't thought of anything like Turtles All the Way Down ever in my entire life.
I mean, I tend to meet a lot of people that have been through a lot and have done a lot and taken a lot.
Oh.
So...
You're talking like mind expansion?
mind expansion kind of stuff, man.
Mind expansion, man.
It's it's just you meet these people and they tell you about some stuff you've gone through, and you just think like, wow, you've lived a couple lives now.
Right.
You've had enough experience for a couple people. There's this one person I went on a date with that we hung out for probably 6 or 7 hours, and through the entire thing, more stories, more crazy experiences you would never think a person's done. And those are the people that they like to wax philosophical, for sure. They got all the books, they got all these ideas, and I'll be the first
They've
to
read
say,
Infinite Jest.
I'll be the first to say, like, I don't understand most of it, but that's fine, because maybe one day I'll figure it out, maybe one day I'll learn.
Yeah, lots of Alan Watts fans out there, I think is his name.
But like, maybe I don't know, maybe we're not watching the right TED Talks, or maybe those people are censored much easier in this day and age.
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head right off the bat by the fact that I think it has a lot to do with having experiences. It expands your perspective on things, right? So like the people that you've met and have gotten to know have had some really intense experiences in their lives, so that does kind of offer you fresh perspective. Imagine the difference between traveling the world for throughout your life and staying in the same town for your whole life. Like the two, how different your brain will work. Like it's so it's interesting to get back to Sturgill a little bit, where he doesn't seem like a world traveler. He sounds like a very well-read guy and an educated guy, and then you think like that's maybe why no offense, that's maybe why he stands out so much in country. Because he seems well educated and well read and willing to think about things differently, to challenge things a little bit.
All it takes is an open mind and a willingness to be wrong.
Yeah, that's very true.
Because a lot of people, maybe even most people, don't have that. We all share that to some degree, obviously, to some magnitude.
Yeah.
But just having the heart to try to stay open to new ideas and try to accept things and question things, and like you hear something weird and you don't immediately throw it off to the side and like, okay, that's trash, I'm not gonna think about that.
Yeah, it doesn't, like, you hear something that challenges a belief that you have and you don't immediately like reject it.
That has been what most of my life has been up till now. So I guess I'm learning. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I've definitely, I've had to open myself up to new ideas and experiences ever since like moving out of Texas. Just that alone. Like, we lived in Austin, but we were still in Texas. So like, I moved to California, you moved to Washington, and there's different types of people here. So it's
for sure.
Where I live, there's a lot of energies. And a lot of I just listened to my chakra.
Maybe auras.
Yeah, my crystal told me not to go anywhere today. Type of things, and I'm having to be very understanding and open to these things because it's so easy to dismiss this stuff as like kind of new age, foo bullshit, and then but then you realize like, well, this person genuinely, heartfelt, sincerely believes in this thing. They're not being phony about it. So I'm like, I gotta respect it and try and understand it as much as I can.
Yeah, and it's stuff that in movies and TV shows we've always been taught to believe. Oh, you're psycho. This person holds no credibility.
Yeah.
These hippies, like, oh, the Stones. But like, first off, it doesn't hurt anyone unless they're doing some like, I'm not gonna get treatment because this stone is gonna help. That's bad. But as long as that's not happening, it's not hurting anyone.
But at that point, they're hurting themselves. So, it's kind of, at least they're not hurting anyone else around them. That might not. It's the when it gets dangerous when it's like the anti-vax shit of like parents not giving their kids vaccinations because they don't believe in it or something. It's like, okay, now you're endangering someone's life.
Right.
Kind of the same thing with like people not taking the COVID vaccine. Like, feel however you want, but the way I feel about it is, if you don't get it, you're kind of saying fuck you to everyone else.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It's
And I used to be that way. I used to be that way about vaccinations, where I'm just like, what? I gotta get a flu vaccine to do this thing? I'm like, fuck that. I just won't do it then. I don't want to do that. I don't want to get a shot. Be sick for 3 or 4 days or whatever. Like, and now I'm gonna get every fucking. I'll let them give me Bordetella vaccinations if I have to.
Hey, those aren't bad, dude.
Yeah, man. I might be getting lockjaw for all I know. Give me that one too. Fuck it. I don't care. I'm a believer now. But yeah, it's. I think I love like in Turtles All the Way Down when Sturgill says he names all the psilocybin, DMT, marijuana, LSD, et cetera, and it's like it sounds like he was on all of those when he wrote that song. So I love it.
Well, what was that one of your nugs?
Oh, Godoy.
Okay.
Gal Godoy. Dude.
Godoy.
Godoy, dude.
What was your second nug?
My second choice nug, real quick, I'll do my honorable mensch.
Yeah.
Life of Sin, Living the Dream, The Promise, A Little Light, Just Let Go, and Ate All Flowers.
Okay.
All of them except Voices.
Didn't care for Voices.
Not that I didn't care for it. I like the song. It's just my least favorite. And it's kind of like the bonus track, Pan
Bowl?
Something. Pan Bowl?
Yeah.
Kind of like,
kind of
it's
a flyover.
A little bit of a filler song, even though I like them both. So, sure. But literally all of them are honorable mentions except Voices. So my second choice nug, and it's funny that you told me, we were listing some of the ones that I put on the playlist that I made you, because I totally forgot which ones I put on there, but it was Long White Line.
Long White Line.
I love that. Right. Like, it's so silly, but it sounds so cool to me for some reason.
It sounds like the intro of a country cartoon show.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like the intro of like Hey Dude or Rocko's Modern Life or something. Some 90s Nickelodeon cartoon that for some reason would have used country as their intro. But I love the lyrics about like heartbreak and trying to almost like running away from your problems a little bit.
Yeah.
And just driving until you get to the end of the road and then working through your thoughts. Like I love that theme too.
Sorry, I got to respond to something really quick.
No, you're good. And I love the trippy slide guitar at the end with like the panning when they go like left and right panning, like wow 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 wow. And then they have that like the kind of distorted solo that's not really following any sort of like notes or key or anything like that, and it's just like such a cool ending to a song, and they're like reversing stuff and everything. I love the ending of Long White Line. Yeah,
where it kind of amps up a little bit.
Yeah, it ends like weirdly loud and trippy and kind of like psychedelic, and I really, really like that about it.
Oh my god. Sorry, this person is delivering groceries to me and they're asking a lot of questions.
That's hilarious. Yeah, we can edit this out. It's all good. I don't know how I'm going to, but I can figure it out.
Oh. They said they were coming at 3, so I don't know why they're asking all these questions now. But yes, the Long White Line is it came on at work one day, and we have this like I think it's called Renegade Country. But I was still surprised. I was like
Sirius XM,
like
Renegade
a Sturgill
Country.
Simpson song on a country radio station, huh? Well, okay.
Showing him a little love.
Showing him a little love, and it's.
I like that.
Super catchy, super something that would be great live. Nice dancing hoedown song,
It's a hoedown for sure.
It's a hoedown.
It's a hoedown.
We all want to pretend it isn't, but it is.
Let's stop denying that this song's a hoedown. Well, what's your second choice nug, man?
My second choice nug, it's gotta be It Ain't All Flowers.
Yeah, man, that's so good.
I appreciate what he was doing here, trying to like push the boundaries, get a little experimental, all this reverse, kind of playing the fact that it's a 7-minute country song, which does not happen.
Yeah, and the intro has really nothing to do with the rest of the song. which I find very interesting. It's not like it goes into that riff that they're playing in reverse in the song. It just starts like ding, 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 ding. It just starts doing something completely different.
Yeah, right.
I dig that, and man, I love like it just has some really good like dark energy on "I Don't Know Flowers." It sounds kind of pissed a little bit.
Well, it's kind of a pissy song, and I love when he's
oh, dude.
And he gets
that howl
distorted, clips a little, howling.
Yes, I have that whole thing written down in my notes.
Just how he uses the guitar in it, and like how it comes in and when it comes in. It's a very cool. You could tell they definitely took their time, like constructing the instrumentation of this song and figuring out this layered. Is going to sound really good here. We're going to have this tiny little echo distorted guitar in this part. It's going to sound super cool.
Yeah, the tremoloed, almost like surf rocky tremoloed guitar during the verses is just so like juicy and wavy and grooving, man. I love it. It's a very bluesy song. I would say it's the blues song on the record.
Yeah, very super bluesy with that kind of, I wouldn't call it like a swagger kind of.
No, it has a swagger. It's got a little bit of
a swagger too.
It's borderline Jack Daniels
swaggy, I'd say.
Yeah, it's a borderline swaggy. It's borderline Jack Daniels commercial music.
But not quite.
Not quite. It's not going to be in a Jack Daniels honey commercial. It might be in like a Jim Beam commercial. A little more real.
Yeah, a little more down to earth.
The working man's whiskey. Yeah, a little Buffalo Trace maybe. A little higher scale, you know. I can't believe I'm not drinking whiskey right now, but I'm just so tired of drinking lately.
Damn, and I was thinking
I've done it a lot.
There's this like at the gas station, the only thing they got for alcohol that's under, it's $5. It's the cheapest one. Yeah. It's this little bottle of it.
Oh,
it's brown like whiskey, but it's technically wine.
Oh no!
And it's just like a bad Fireball. It's like 20%, which is nice.
Sounds so gross.
It is. It's not great, but they don't got Four Locos over here, so what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, like look, I need to forget life, okay? Like give me a $5 forget pill.
Sometimes I'm sick of getting drunk off life. I want to just get drunk off alcohol.
Yeah,
I don't see what's wrong with that.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, this is a perfect record to drink whiskey and just like vibe on a porch, you know?
Dude,
maybe with some really good headphones on.
And let me say, like, listening to this record has got me pretty excited to listen to all his other stuff.
You should be excited, man. I think you're going to love A Sailor's Guide to the Earth. I really think you're going to love that record.
I literally was downloading it mid-episode.
Man, nice. Dude, let's get into ratings, my guy. What do you want me to go first? You want to go first?
I'll go ahead and go first. Since this album kind of slightly changed your life.
I kind of brought it to you, you know? So let's go with you first.
Let the guest go first.
Yeah.
You know? It's like proper manners, and you'll learn that eventually.
Oh, man. But, okay. You're really twisting the knife.
I love the sounds of this album. It's heady, as he said. It's got a good amount of room in it. The production sounds fantastic. Mm-hmm. It's nice and short. It's like 30-minute album. And it's got some catchy parts in it. Not something I usually listen to, but something I might get more into now.
Yeah.
There were a good amount of flyover songs for me that didn't quite stick.
Okay.
Even though I appreciated, the music and the lyrics and all that. And honestly, hearing what he does on other albums, it's like, man, you sent it after this.
Yeah, dude. He really let loose after this record. So I almost was thinking about that too going into this episode. I'm like, maybe I should have done Sailor's Guide or Sound and Fury, but I'm like, this is the root, though. He has one album before this, but I feel like this is really the root of when things started changing.
It's the root, baby.
Yeah. It's kind of like with RX Bandits. I would tell you to listen to the Resignation before Progress, even though Progress, was the one that I got into first. I'm like, Resignation is really when the change started happening,
Right.
This was the transition phase for him.
And so with all that being said, I'm going to give this one a solid 7.6 with
Way better than I thought you were going to do.
Definite room that it's going to go up.
Nice. Yeah, I thought you were going to give it a 6 point something, maybe a 5 point something, honestly.
I enjoyed it, man. It's just a nice,
awesome.
It's going to be a nice album that I can just put on. It's easy, it's interesting. And I'm definitely going to come back to it.
Nice, dude. Do you think you can put this on hanging out with Lily and she would chill? She would like it?
No.
Okay.
I mean, because Lily right now is kind of getting into, like Tala and early album Slipknot and...
Yeah, the self-titled record she's liking a lot.
Yeah, a lot of breakcore, a lot of very hardcore stuff.
What is breakcore?
You remember that Pendulum album we talked about?
Yes.
It's like that, but like 2 or 3 times faster.
Oh, fuck off. Okay. Yeah, she's gonna hate this record there. Never mind.
Yeah, so probably not. But, maybe I'll do it as a joke one time. I'll put a speaker in a room that she can't find.
Yeah, a little Bluetooth speaker under her pillow.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
I like it. Well, 7.6. I'm psyched that you liked it that much, man. I obviously am going to be higher than that. I'm obviously higher than you right now. But I think this. Okay. You're like, how do you know?
Sir, I'll have you know that I'm 100% high, sir.
I love. Side note that I had friends who didn't really smoke weed, and then they moved to a state that had weed. And now they're smoking weed all the time, and it just makes me so happy. Anyway, this album slightly changed my life. It really did change my perspective on country music. I took a road trip to Little Rock, Memphis, and Nashville maybe about a year after I first heard this album, and I was listening to a lot of stuff like this, like Houndmouth and Shovels and Rope, and Shooter Jennings, and all these different artists that I'm like, wow, like this new country is awesome. I want to go to Nashville. And I went there, I wrote an album's worth of country music there with one of my best friends, and it was just such a formative, cool time in my life,
When is that album coming out?
I don't even know where the songs exist anymore, man. I've been asking my friend for them for a while. I don't even think he's found them. If you're into like the Red Solo Cup country music, you're probably not going to like this shit. If you don't like country music, you might actually fucking like this record. Like, Sturgill he's extremely self-aware. He calls out the bullshit. He is mind-expanding. He's trippy. The production's great. The music's great. He knows how to write a really fucking catchy chorus that you just want to be drunk and sing along to every single time. And this just had such a huge impact on me, man. It's really expanded my horizons of music in general. And seeing where he's gone since this record, too, has just continued to expand my understanding of what country music could be and what it should be. So I'm going to give this a solid... Fuck, man. 9.3.
Whoa!
Yeah, I was talking about this album with my friend that we went on the road trip together to Nashville. And I told him we were talking about this record on the next episode. And I knew it was one of his favorites. And I'm like, man, you would have been the perfect guest for this episode. And we talked about that for a little bit. And then he said, this would have been the album that he would have picked if he had been on our show. And that it's his number one album of all time.
Oh my God.
And that I showed it to him. I didn't even remember that I showed him this. I think I showed him Turtles All the Way Down one day.
Oh man, the fact that you showed someone their number one album, that must be a crazy feeling.
It was the coolest feeling. I literally found that out maybe 4 or 5 days ago. I had no idea.
Man.
It gave me, I like welled up with pride. I was like, that's really fucking cool.
It was like, you owe your life to me.
Yeah, I changed your life, dude.
You owe me a life debt.
Yeah, this might change your life, buddies. Fucking let us know what you guys think of this record. Listen to Metamodern Sounds of country music. Let us know what you guys think. Do you guys already love Sturgill? Or do you know who the fuck we're talking about and you listen to us for an hour for some reason, talk about someone you have no idea who they are? That's cool too. leave us a like, leave us a comment, or on Instagram at EBPcast. I'm on there at Jean-Luc Guitard. Brett is Brett Hanrahan. YouTube, everything, Spotify, podcast. Go listen to us. Tell your friends. Give us a like. Give us a follow. Hit the bell. Brett, what else do you want to say to the people?
Man, just fucking live your truth.
I like it. Live your truth, man. And what is going to be our truth on the next episode? What are we talking about? I think it's your pick.
Whoo, boy. I've been...
Are we switching gears again? We went from Kendrick to Sturgill here.
You're going left, you're going right. We did 2 episodes of Kendrick. We did an episode of Sturgill. Now we're doing an episode of Cloak Dagger, baby. It's a punk band. Nobody knows about it. Found it on Pandora when I was like in second year of high school. Still one of my favorite albums of all time.
Yeah, wow.
This album's called Lost Art. I'm trying to get everyone on this shit.
Fuck yes. All right, Cloak Dagger, Lost Art, man. I'm excited to hear it. I think you've shown me 1 or 2 of their songs before.
When I came on to the Choice Nugs, I showed you one of their songs.
That's right.
Damn. Don't remember which one.
I'm excited.
Doesn't matter, man. This is going to be
Dude, and that's what this show is all about, man. We're all over the fucking place, and we're going from hip-hop to country to punk rock. So stick around. Buddies,
who knows
let us know
where
what
we're going
albums,
next, baby?
Who knows what we're doing next? I already know what we're doing next. But who knows? Let us know what albums you want us to listen to and review. We're going to do a listener-submitted episode here pretty fucking soon, so keep an eye out for that one. We're going to be doing happy hour episodes every now and then where we're just going to be having a drink together and talking about music and talking about bullshit. So that's going to be really fun. Stick around for those. And, Brett, man, what would you... what would you rate this?
You know what, bud? It's so hard because there's this podcast episode standing on like a bigger podcast episode,
on the shoulders of another one,
the shell of a bigger podcast episode. So I'd say 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of, or maybe like 10 out of 11 out of 12 out of 13 out of 14 out of 15, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I was literally, Brett, gonna say the exact same thing word for word.
Wow,
literally,
that's impressive.
The exact same thing.
That's impressive for me, mostly.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, you should be.
I've been impressed with you, bud.
Aw, I've been impressed with you, bud.
This was good.
This was good.
Bye, buddy.
See ya next one.
And 3, 2, 1. Oh my God, what song is playing right now?